Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of How Does a Christian Become a Christian Psychic Medium? So, if you haven't watched the first 2 parts of this series, make sure you stop, go back, watch it, and join me here. So, I never understood. So we left off with hate, right? I knew that I was being lied to by my family and by the church. And it's really not, they might not have, things are passed down. But I was always aware that no one knows everything and that you have to find out for yourself. And if you know anything about me, then you know that I am going to find out for myself. I do not listen to rumors. I do not believe everything that I'm told or hear until I see it, experience it, or know it for myself. Now, I could go into all the many experiences I've had. A lot of amazing stories, which I do post often. But we're going to stick to. Either way, I always loved Jesus. I knew what he had done for us. And I just knew there was more, right? So there were a lot of things that I knew. I would look at things and be like, it's not possible. Well, as an adult, I find out it's true. There were many dreams that I was informed, were just dreams. It was weird, blah, blah, blah. I have found out as an adult, all were very, very true. My mother, we would talk about it before her passing. And she would be like, oh, yeah, that was, that really happened. And I'm like, what? And for some reason, my mom and I both were just really into paranormal shows, stories of children that remembered past lives, different things like that. And I just, all in all, I was a medium when I didn't know what the word medium meant. So now, this is where it gets heavy, okay? So, might be a little triggering. I was abused off and on my entire life. I, to this day, am part of some type of abuse, rather physical, mental, emotional, it doesn't matter. I have had a lot of health problems, and as a teenager, I had a borderline, what they called borderline cervical cancer. So the doctor said that there was no possible way that I didn't have cervical cancer, but I didn't. It was just borderline. So I ended up with a paper thin cervix, a lot of procedures, and just thank God for my mama because, yeah, the cells eventually moved to my uterus, and on average, medically, it's just a long story, but bottom line, I had a lot of medical situations with my female abilities to have children, okay? On top of the fact, abuse played a part. So, was I the perfect Christian? Of course not. I was wild. I was crazy. I do not know how I lived to be 18. I will say that at one point, I had a group of friends that they were like, Lucy, you have got to be psychic. You have got to be this. You've got to be that. You've got to be a witch. Yes, I said it, a witch. And the truth is, most people hear my story because, yes, it's in a book. And they're like, how did you stay a Christian at all? I was baptized, but I always knew that God was with me. One night, during the cervical procedures and things like that, I had ended up with a boyfriend who I ended up technically being engaged to, so my ex-fiance. And one night we had a separation night where we purposely went out with our friends. And I will never forget where I was at. I can't say what road, I can't say what stop sign, but I will never forget that I was driving. I was in my truck. I had a truck full of people. My windows were down, and I will never forget stopping at the stop sign and looking at the time and looking up at the moon out the window. The moon and the darkness, and just something come over me, and I said to myself, something bad just happened. Yeah. The next day I found out that there was a wreck, and long story short, one of our friends did pass away. When I looked at the clock, I remember it was just like it was 1 something in the morning. And I wish I could remember. And maybe in one of those journals I burned, I'm sure the time was there, because I wrote everything down. I wrote a journal from elementary up. And just in the last 3 years, a little over 3 years ago, when my mom passed, I started my journals again, and I've already filled up 12. And that doesn't include my mediumship readings. I had even forgot about that. So that was just one example. That was all the time, and nothing new. Nothing new for me. Just like, well, yeah, we'll slow down. So he beats on me, and we end up splitting up. And I was wild and crazy, and I just always knew. I just always knew. There's a lot of situations that, people will never know about. Yeah, I can't get off in La La Land, which is what I do as a medium. So I'll skip forward to my first husband. Yeah. Yeah. So, very much in love. I was crazy about him, and I would just know where to go, when to go, and there's a whole lot more to it, but you just have to read my book for that one. But very much abusive, but not until I got pregnant. So I'm just going to kind of move past that, because yes, I lost my faith for quite a while. My ex-husband beat me into labor, and my daughter, because of my cervix being so thin, they couldn't stop it, and my daughter did pass away. So I lost my faith for quite a while and was completely focused on only having a child. And I was actually, when I was pregnant with her, the only time I felt her kick was in the Pentecostal church. One of my uncles had passed, which I was also told growing up that that was not a real church. But when I really discovered just how real heaven and hell is I did get pregnant again, and my son passed away. So make sure and stay tuned, because next part 4, is my near-death experience. Hope you follow